Markets shake off a hot CPI and a hot PPI and the housing bust. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, July the 17th. And of course, what a week it was. It was for a low, quiet volume week. It was wild. Lots of things going on in markets. Lots of things going on across the globe. And we're going to cover as much as we can right here with Bubba's Bottom Line on Sunday, the 17th of July. And of course, I guess we can start with the CPI and the PPI numbers, which were on fire. Okay, CPI 9.1%, an increase. And of course, as you know, if you've listened to me before, take that number and multiply it by 3, because that'll show you the true number of what inflation is. The government's inflation is bullshit anyways, but the real inflation is what you're paying and what will your dollars buy for you. And certainly not a lot. So we have hot numbers that actually sent markets tanking, and we'll get to that in our market report. But we came out with the retail sales on Friday, and they were hot, but not anywhere near the hotness of inflation, which again tells you, which is what I have said to you, that the retailers are not going to be able to keep up. They cannot raise prices fast enough to keep up with the cost of goods themselves if they can get the goods. That's the big question here, is can they get the goods? And the answer is probably not. But between the supply chain and everything else going on, they probably can't get them. Okay. But of course, you know my opinion of government in general, whether you be a lefty or a righty, a Democrat, Republican, they're all crooks. The politicians, in my opinion, do not have our best interest at heart. The politicians, in my opinion, are looking for ways to scam us out of our money right now with the taxation without representation through inflation, devaluation of currency. But this really struck a nerve. And of course, if you've read during the week, Nancy Pelosi's husband bought about $8 million worth of NVIDIA. Okay, and of course, on Friday, after the close of the market, Nancy Pelosi urges the support of a $50 billion chip bill. Okay, for which will obviously make NVIDIA go wildly to the upside. Naturally, once again, benefiting the insiders who legally can do this kind of crap, which makes no sense, right? If you or I did that, we'd be arrested and fined. Okay, here it is, the Speaker of the House urging a bill that's going to help her husband's, which is be hers, $50 billion bill to help her $8 million stack in a stock. I mean, what can I tell you? Okay, in the meantime, okay, Germany is facing potentially the biggest crisis in their history, and maybe bigger than that, because, of course, with the Nord Stream 1 shutdown natural gas pipeline from Russia to Germany, supposedly for maintenance. Now, we'll see if it reopens when it's supposed to, but they're already short, okay? And again, because they're the only supplier in the game is Russia for them. Okay, we won't supply them because we don't produce it anymore. And we'll get into that in a minute. But so without natural gas, where are they going to go? Okay, well, how are they going to function? How are they going to operate? You know, it's a big source of energy and power for Germany. Okay, and it's the potential shutdown and when, if and when it's going to reopen is a big question. And of course, we continue to hear the cries of Russia's defaulting, Russia's this, Russia's that. Russia is flourishing right now. Okay, all you have to do is look at the ruble. All you have to look at what's going on, and they are the sole supplier in their area because they have no competition, because we, who were the leaders there, decided to give it up. Okay, which takes us to the point is really that's you have the country says that we should be drilling for oil. Okay, I don't understand why we're not making oil. I mean, American Energy. Instead, President Biden just flew Air Force One, and what kind of a carbon footprint did that leave? Going in Air Force One to Saudi Arabia. Okay, we don't hear about that. We don't hear about the asshole Kerry who flies around the country in his private jet talking about energy policies. Okay, but again, whatever. That's what we have. But so, why are we not producing ourselves? Why are we begging our enemies to produce more oil when we have the capabilities here? I ask the same question every week, and I have yet to get an answer. At what cost are we going to flush America down the toilet? Because you're begging the worst people in the world, okay, for a natural resource that we can produce in mass quantities and prove the fact that we were net exporters for years. Okay, but what can I tell you? And of course, as we look into the travel industry, which I say is going to fail, and not a colossal failure, but we don't have business travelers like we used to have. We now, many and most use Zoom. They use other forms of meeting, which is hurting the airline industry, hence the less number of flights. The good news for the consumer is the faster flight times, right? Because you get places faster because there isn't as much air traffic. But hotel occupancy rates continue to decline. Okay, year over year, going back to 2019, which would be the last COVID year clean, we're down about 15%. Okay, and falling faster. So again, this industry, in my opinion, is not going to succeed under the terms. And of course, the big money and their big profits were not made off of the retail consumer. They were made off the business who had to make plans at the last minute. Okay. But you now have Macau extending the closure of the casinos due to COVID. And the first thing I got to say about COVID is bullshit. Okay. Now, obviously, we've talked about this ad nauseum for years because it's been around for years now, believe it or not. But if you look at the actual statistics and the numbers, and you add up the cases, the number of cases of the flu and colds in 2017, 18, and 19, okay, and then you add up the total cases of flu, cold, and COVID in 2021 and 22, you're going to find out that the numbers are the same. So basically, they subbed COVID in for basically the flu. Okay, COVID for most is nothing more than a bad cold. Okay, which we all get bad colds. I mean, for the high risk individuals, it's a risk. But so is the flu, and so is the cold, and so is pneumonia. So again, I say bullshit on this COVID. And although I was vaccinated, I wish I wasn't. Okay, because I think they rush it to market, and we don't really know what the downline side effects are. And I believe that China is doing the shutdowns more to penalize the United States than they are shutting down because of true COVID. Okay, because that gives them an excuse not to produce, not to ship, which continues to leave our stores and goods and services at a loss because we produce nothing. Which, again, that's a story for another day, including our prescription drugs. Do you really want your prescription drugs in the hands of China, the country that sent COVID to here intentionally? Okay. And again, that's my opinion, but I'll stick to it until the day I die. Okay. But the closures of the casinos is hurting. It hurts their economy. It hurts many of our companies here that are either casinos there or producers of equipment for things with the technology. So we continue to see more reasons that, of course, because of our weak leadership, and make no mistake, we have never been this weak with a leader since Jimmy Carter And even Jimmy Carter had more balls and brains than the imbecile that's in there now. Of course, he's really not the guy who's running it because he's just reading the teleprompter. But at the end of the day, we've got this same issue, okay, that we continue to give up our power. We continue to give up our control, which, it's not that control is as important, but it certainly peace is. And that brings the question, is a Russia-U.S. war becoming imminent? Okay, because Russia is running roughshod over President Biden. Russia is pushing every hot button. And you know who's loving this the best, of course, is China, as they sit back and laugh at what this administration is doing. Okay, because that's all it's doing is speeding up their 100-year plan to take over the world. And, they've done everything to antagonize this country, and we continue to support them. We continue to buy their goods. We continue to, give them oil, from our strategic reserve. Now, again, you have to ask yourself, is that really what we're supposed to be doing? Okay. And so the Russia-U.S. could become problematic. And certainly nobody wants that war. Okay. Because if it ever becomes nuclear, that means basically the end. All right. And I don't know about you, but I'm not quite ready to go yet. All right. And I think there's also a very big possibility of the revolution in our own country. And of course, that makes us even weaker as we're going to be fighting among ourselves, which we're already verbally fighting against one another. But, you've got something that is now, as we've talked about. Now, we were well ahead of this story over a year ago, telling you that the Federal Reserve was going to create a digital currency and replace paper currency with digital. And of course, what that really does to everybody is it, first of all, destroys any freedom you had from the past. Okay? Because you have a digital footprint, you are now tracked wherever you go. Okay? You want to sneak to the casino without your wife knowing, or your husband, or your boyfriend, or whatever? You can't. There's a footprint that you were there. Okay. You can't do things that you did previously privately. Everything becomes a matter of public knowledge. Not open public, but public enough that they know. Okay. And of course, that changes, what you have to do and how you have to do it. And there will be no more, cash deals and things like that happen all the time. And it also gives the government and the Federal Reserve the green light to basically create more money. When you're doing things digitally, there is less of an accounting of it because you can easily add more to it. Okay. And make no mistake, the digital currency is, I figured about 2 years. It may be starting sooner. It's already being used in countries around the globe, and we're next. Okay. And of course, thank God for Senator Joe Manchin, who finally laid the bed that piece of crap legislation on Build Back Better, and destroy America. Okay. The only things that he will agree to, as he has stated, is the lower prescription drugs. Okay. And a couple of other things that are America related only. Okay. And so obviously, we'd all like lower prescriptions. We know that between the insurance companies and the doctors and the pharmacies, they got us by the you-know-whats, and they don't let go. And this is a problem. Okay, this is the things that has to be solved as we move forward, because they're gouging our eyeballs out with the drugs. Yet we don't hear. We hear our president speaking about the high cost of oil, but not the high cost of medication. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 17th of July. We're going to stop an hour for break. We'll be back with our market report right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. We'll be right back. What's up, kids? Well, I've got some sponsors, and I always like you to encourage you to check them out. Again, look, I vet them and I use them myself. Okay, it's not something that I want you to do because I don't believe in it. I certainly believe in it. And of course, we use for our commodities and futures trading, we use Capital Trading Group, CTG as they're known. I have been doing business with them for years, for 20 or 30 years. I've known Pat and Nell, who own it, for longer than that. And I can tell you this, that they are the straightest, nicest people in the world when it comes to the business. But more importantly, they answer the phone, okay, which is why they're the only ones I could authorize to do our letter of direction trading. They've got great products. We've just recently partnered with them on the Day Trader's Dream. Plus the fact that they have other great products on their own. They handle all of my accounts, and I just check them out. Okay, again, you don't have to switch. You don't have to go there. Again, I want you to be happy wherever you go. But check them out. It's info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. That's info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. It's scrolling on the bottom or on the side. But check them out. And of course, for equities and options, there's nothing like Trader. Okay, Trader brokerage is by far the best I've ever seen in the equity world. Because the first thing is it's $10 a month. Now, think about what you spend for brokerage. And even at the supposed free, okay, it still adds up to thousands of dollars a year. So do you want to pay $1,000 or you want to pay $120? Okay. So, but in the meantime, Trader is not only inexpensive, they do a great job. They have relationships with TradingView, with their own TradeHawk, with all kinds of platforms globally, okay, that you can use. Plus the fact that they're going to have cryptocurrencies, which are going to be part of your account. Okay. They can do automation for us, for our equity portfolios at no charge. Okay. And for our futures portfolios, we charge you a licensing fee for the software, but the trading can be done automatically. It's still only for $10 a month. Why wouldn't you check them out? Try.trader.com/Bubba. That's try.trader.com/Bubba. And of course, our high school program, look, all we're trying to do is rebuild this thing. COVID killed everything and killed a lot of things. And this is one of it. And it's actually a program we donate, but the donating is part of being in the school and getting to the teachers to give it to them. I mean, I financed it myself with help from you guys on Patreon, but I financed 90%. It used to be 100. And of course we went to Patreon, but you can check it out. It's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. And again, all the links are scrolling along the bottom of the side. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line on this Sunday, July the 17th, in our market update. Welcome back. It is Sunday, July the 17th, the final day of the Open. It's almost over, and what a wild day they had on Saturday. These guys are like shooting darts without bad weather out there, man. It's unbelievable. But in the meantime, exciting, always fun to watch. And of course, it's on at a great time. It starts overnight. In the meantime, the markets were able to shake off, the PPI or the CPI on Wednesday. The markets plunged at 8:30 Eastern, only to come back by the end of the day, all the way back to just about unchanged, down a little bit. On Thursday, we had an 11.3% PPI print. The markets plunged like they were going to zero and came all the way back to close positive on the day. And of course, on Friday, the markets rallied all day. Now, you ask yourself, is it strength or is it short carving and a short squeeze? Well, if we look at the bigger picture, the trend is still down. Okay. For the week, the indexes were actually still lower, the Dow being the strongest, which is never a bullish sign. We remained short the four indexes, and I don't see them changing anytime soon. And in fact, I think that this is natural action, which we've talked about in our Monday night strategy call, that we expected the markets to do this type of stuff, which is really just consolidating. The big moves come from bottoms, and they get rejected when they get to the top end of consolidation. In the meantime, the dollar continues to explode. It got almost to $1.10 last week. Okay. Now, it's artificial dollars because it doesn't buy anymore, but the dollar is strong and it is hurting the export world a little bit. But again, I don't really care about that because exports shouldn't be driven by currency. Just like houses shouldn't be driven by currency, it should be driven by supply and demand. In the meantime, the euro currency did touch par this week. The low of the week was 100. And I'm projecting 88 cents, okay, on the euro currency, and I look for it to go much lower. A Bitcoin is still just hovering right around 20 grand. Okay, there's a lot of reasons to believe it can go up, and there's a lot of reasons to believe it can go down. And wherever it goes, we'll be prepared. And we're shorted. We've been shorted, along with the euro currency, by the way. And look, I'm long it in my, wallet, whatever you call that stuff. But from a trading standpoint, we're short. Okay. And as we look at the metals, they're, oh boy, are they ugly. Gold, silver, and platinum. And boy, are the manipulator criers coming out now. Okay. Look, I'm going to tell you this one more time. There is no long-term manipulation. Short-term, listen, anything can happen. Okay. But over history, over the longest term, you can't manipulate because it takes two sides to make a market. Gold got down below our target of 1,700, which will have new levels on Monday. We remain short gold. Silver got cracked, and silver's going probably below 18 now. And platinum, I don't know if that's ever going up again. I mean, it will, but obviously it's down around 820. Again, it's just ugly. Silver is, 18, new support 1750, and new in gold is probably 1650. Okay, and platinum is 750 probably. I mean, it's ugly, and we're short. We would be short platinum as well, except it's not liquid enough for us to trade it anymore. Copper got clobbered again. So copper is now heading down towards that $3 spot. Actually got very close before having a little bit of a dead cat bounce. And natural gas was higher. So we're short. Now, again, it's very interesting as to how the market has been working, but we're short. I think obviously, I think one more update will be reversing in natural gas. But for the moment, we are still short in crude. Crude got clobbered last week. Even with the big update on Friday, it got clobbered, and it looks like it could go lower. Now, again, I still believe that the commodities are going to skyrocket, and I think that crude oil is still going to make all-time new highs. But right now, I'm short. So again, I'm always going to give you a full disclosure of where I stand. And the grain markets, they're ouch last week. Really, wheat was the biggest ouch. But I'm not sure where all this is coming from. This is the interesting part, but in a trading market, we are in somewhere in that I don't know what to do, and this is what I got. In between harvest and planting is always some dead time. I think you've got a lot of funds trying to push hard to trigger sell signals, and then possibly get the banks involved. Remember, a lot of times banks will force liquidation as the value decreases, and at $6 corn versus $3 corn, there's a much higher probability that they could trigger that. And I think that's what they're trying to push for. Okay. And that would be a form of manipulation for a short-term trade. But I do think that they're going to find a bottom and skyrocket. I mean, I've not changed my longer-term projections, but I am short for now. Okay. We're short all three. And in the meats, the protein complex, they were higher. And look, they're up at top, higher levels. Hogs are a little bit lower, but we're long all of them. Okay, and what you're looking at is I think you're in what we'll call fairly priced markets. I don't think there's a lot of room on the downside, and barring any real bad news, I don't think there's a lot of room on the downside. I think we're churning right here, and I think a lot will relate to the fuel markets, because it comes back down to people's budget and what they can afford to eat. And as we look at the softs, cotton continues to get clobbered. Whew. Cotton's on almost 50% from its recent high. Sugar, we're going to reverse either tonight or tomorrow and be long. Now, we were short. Coffee got clobbered last week. Okay. Now, I think coffee's going a lot higher as well. Again, the softs, I think, are going to have some big moves. But right now, we saw overall overwhelming pressure. And one of the reasons you see this kind of pressure is when equities turn around, the money comes back out, or margin calls out there. All kinds of reasons to why. And cocoa, was a little flat for the week, basically. And OJ was down for the weekend. We're short everything, and we are short sugar at this prettier second, but either tonight or tomorrow morning, we will then be long sugar. So again, the markets are what the markets are, and we don't try to get too predictive. All right. I think that we're going a lot lower in the equities. I still call for 40 to 70% before it's all said and done. We're about a third of the way there. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, we're going to stop out here for our final break and come back with, of course, our commentary right after the break. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, July the 17th. Well, kids, here we are. And of course, obviously, this is our final break right before our commentary. And I'm just going to remind you to look at the bottom or on the sides and see our sponsors, but Capital Trading Group for futures and commodities, Trade Your Brokerage for equities and options at $10 a month, and of course our high school program. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line for my commentary as we go. let's get back to it right now. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, July the 17th. And of course, every week I kind of give you what I'm thinking. And, I have to ask the question, I ask this a lot, but it's like, why are we not producing oil? I was in Denver last week, and I was looking at some beautiful structures and a highway that was built all from oil money. Okay. And, from my understanding, as I do some more research, fracking and shale producing is not polluting. Okay. It is obviously the carbon and the pollution comes from the exhaust, but we're still buying and using more oil. So wouldn't it make sense for us to pump our own? Wouldn't it make sense for us as United States citizens to pay $2.20 instead of $5.20? Wouldn't it make sense to take care of our own production and actually be able to help Germany, the UK, with natural gas because we have an overabundant supply of natural gas in this country? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of logical sense unless you have an agenda to destroy America by your policy. Because as Biden flies over to Saudi Arabia to beg them jackasses for oil, okay, we could produce it right here. Okay, not only produce it, which would create more income, which would create more taxes, which would put more people to work in better paying jobs. But God forbid we should let that happen. Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horowitz. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the last couple of holes of the Open. And we'll see you back here tomorrow with the Bubba's Daily Update. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow.